Oscar Jones, and we're just going to move into our question of the week. So a little bit of news came out, like I think today, and apparently they have found a new director for James Bond. The one that Daniel Craig said he doesn't want to do anymore, but he does it anyways, which makes no sense. So they said they were going to get Danny Boyle as a director. He, from what I know him of, he did that one. Well, he did Trainspotting, which is everyone knows Trainspotting. But aside from that, forgot what else he did. He did Trance. That's the movie Trance. It was just kind of okay-ish action film. So I kind of wanted to pose the question: if you had your choice of director to direct the next James Bond film, who would you choose? So, chatters, who would you choose as the next James Bond director, and why?
Yeah, well, the thing is, when it comes to James Bond, right, like, it can be pretty hard, because I think they typically go for, like, British directors, right, when it comes to James Bond, or am I incorrect with that particular statement?
I think you're pretty accurate on that. I didn't even take that into account, but now that I think of it, yeah, it's pretty much probably been English.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, it's the reason why there's, like, the whole thing, who was the big controversial figure that they were saying, who should be James Bond in, like, the next movie or something
What,
like
Idris
that?
Elba?
Idris Elba,
Yeah.
right? But the reason why Idris Elba is kind of like an okay pick for being James Bond is because he does come from a British background, right? Like, so in that sense, like, it makes sense that, okay, like, he is a British person who's playing like a British character in a British made like TV series. And I think, it is a bit of a thing, I guess, with James Bond, right? Like, a lot of kind of people would think Hollywood, and therefore, everything,
American.
everything is American. Where I think, and look, maybe we can get like a bit of a fact check for this one, because I think James Bond is definitely something that is like a British thing. But it's a good question. Like, maybe they'd like to like expand out from being something that is typically British, and maybe you can have something like an Americanized James Bond, right? But I think that won't necessarily be like a good thing, because I guess there is like a little bit of I don't know what to really call it. Like, maybe
The cause for change? Because like I think James Bond has been very traditional, in the way that
yeah,
it has gone through I guess kind of a renaissance in a sense where it's like, especially with Daniel Craig's Bond, it was a little bit more serious after a big take of what's his name, Roger Moore. It was like really silly, kind of campy in a sense, and so like. James Bond has always kind of kept the tradition of like, until kind of maybe the Daniel Craig reboot of like gadgets, the beautiful women type of thing, the Aston Martin. I think those are the mainstays. But that, once again, it kind of switches in and out. So I felt,
yeah.
yeah.
So I reckon, like, okay, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but has Ridley Scott done a 007 movie?
No,
Because he's British.
yeah, he's British.
He is British, but he's done like Alien and Blade Runner and Gladiator, right? And The Martian.
Wasn't he one of
Like,
the main people from Monty Python? I think that's how we got to start, right? Or is that Terry Gilliam as well?
is that the case? I actually don't know. Maybe it is.
Because I swear to
But
God, the troupe was John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, and Ridley Scott. But
okay.
I'm gonna look down his
I'm not
IMDb.
I'm actually not too sure. But I was gonna say, like, Ridley Scott is British, so why not have him have a go at doing a James Bond film?
Yeah, that could work.
But if we really wanted to kind of throw someone from like that isn't British and is kind of like an unconventional choice, like, let's go Patty Jenkins. Why not? I liked her Wonder Woman. Let's do like a James Bond film. See how that's done, right? Like, that's my side pull. But I think if we're gonna go with like a traditional British director and British this and British that, Ridley Scott, and that's got to be my pick.
All right, that's a good choice. I didn't even take that into consideration because now mine sounds like a little bit of a big stretch.
No way. Hey, look, the thing is, it's all about how you justify and maybe how you interpret the question.
Exactly.
So how did you interpret it?
So I interpret it as this. Okay, James Bond, I think, has kind of had it's had some back and forth, and I feel like, especially Daniel Craig's Bond, it's kind of like been hit and miss. Like everyone kind of loves Casino Royale and Skyfall, not much Quantum of Solace and Spectre. So I kind of want to go back to, I guess, late 70s to 80s James Bond, where it's a little bit more maybe lighthearted, a little bit more campy, and you kind of saw flashes of it in Spectre. But I kind of want to go in that full thing of like having Q, having like a lot of gadgets, having it really cool, having like these kind of spy missions, kind of like I guess Mission Impossible is now.
Yep.
And kind of ingrain that whole thing instead of it being very, very serious and very dour. I think, you know, that time and that type of trend of movies have pretty much have come and gone. Like I kind of want that still in my DC stuff and my, I guess, like superhero stuff, because the competitor isn't doing it. You know, like Marvel's doing the happy-go-lucky stuff, and I kind of want, you know, DC to be something different. So what I want James Bond to be is to be that, go back to the 80s style. So my director would be Justin Lin, who is he's doing the new Aquaman film, but he's also mostly well known of basically making Fast and Furious a $1 billion franchise now, because craziness. Because once again, like, I don't really like the Fast and Furious films that much. I feel like they're just kind of trash. However, if he could direct it, he would bring, I guess, a sense of excitement to the James Bond franchise and kind of maybe change it up a bit and pretty much like reinvigorate the franchise and have cool little gadgets of like, yeah, this is doing that, and like having, once again, Aston Martin chase scenes are always a thing in James Bond films. So
of course.
He'd do something really cool with cars and, you know, stuff like that. And obviously, like, you know, I feel like he is a relatively good, like, really good director. You know, he's done some horror films. He did, like, the first 3 Saws, and he's doing Aquaman. He did Fast and Furious. So I think he has a range that a lot of directors generally don't have. But once again, I feel like he would be a really good pick if you just really wanted a fun James Bond and having a fun time at the movies.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad choice, because again, if you wanted to kind of not necessarily modernize James Bond, because I think that's what these like kind of semi-reboot kind of movies were already. But if you wanted to kind of get a different stylized or different like kind of way to interpret James Bond, like, yeah, maybe through him, that's a good way to do it. I think it really comes down to it. And, you know, I was just reading, doing some on the fly, fact checking. I think for Casino Royale, the director for that movie was actually New Zealand. So not all of them. Martin Campbell, he's a New Zealand TV and film director, but whether or not like they're all like everything's all British or not, maybe that's not necessarily important. But I think the original ones, and I think I think Skyfall was a British. The director was British as well. So I was just kind of going with that because it's always good to kind of keep like some tradition. It's what makes it interesting. And I think it's the same reason why like Kingsman kind of gets like a little bit of that was really popular because it kind of went back to the whole campy spy movie, and that's why people really liked it. And then it's the same with I think The Man from U.N.C.L.E. because I keep saying that they should have just got Henry Cavill to be James Bond.
That was I think he probably was in the ranking, and I think they gave it to Daniel Craig.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like again, I think they were saying that I think Ian Fleming was saying that Pierce Brosnan was the closest to somebody who looked like the James Bond, right? And I think that Henry Cavill kind of looks like Pierce Brosnan, right? In a sense, like he's kind of got like
the big
same
jaw
kind of
thing.
facial, like a strong jawline, black hair, brown eyes and stuff like that. They've got the same kind of face. It's like the same thing when I don't know if you've seen like there's an image of like every Superman. Every person who played Superman, and they built a face, like superimposing,
right.
And they all kind of look like the same, right? And it's the same thing with Batman. Like all the people who they got to play Batman, having them combine, and that's how Bruce Wayne kind of is supposed to look like, right? And I think it's the same thing. Henry Cavill kind of is the person that if I could pick to play, you know, 007, it would be Henry Cavill. It's unfortunate that Man from U.N.C.L.E. I think didn't do so well. I actually really liked Man
Yeah,
from U.N.C.L.E.
I really like that film. That was like a sleeper hit where I'm like, man, that was cool. It had some class to it. And once again, I felt like no one really makes those films anymore, and not as much, I guess.
And he's British, so again, like it's something that works in line with, like, you know, if they want like James Bond to be British, like, you know, Henry Cavill, and it's perfect. But obviously, you know, he's kind of caught up with Superman, and the thing is, I think he's also makes a really great Superman. So again, it would be a hard decision. They should have just kind of got him for, like, you know, James Bond, and then when he's off, like, you know, his off
Season.
you know, year or off season, like, you know, he's filming, you know, Justice League or Superman, or
And then they'd be like,
you
oh,
know,
you got a mustache, and you got to CGI it, and you know.
well, you know, James Bond doesn't really have a mustache. Does he ever have a mustache?
No, not really. He gets some stubble, but that's really it.
Stubble. Yeah, true. I don't even remember, like, I think it's just because, like, even when I think Sean Connery, like, I always imagine Sean Connery,
With
like,
the beard.
as he is, like, with a beard as an older guy, not as his, like, you know, I guess interpretation of, like, you know, James Bond, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we picked some pretty good choices for, you know, directed for 007. We'll see whether the new 007 is any good.
I don't know. It's gonna be one of those weird things because, like, once again, Daniel Craig's like, I don't want to do it. He did that 2 times already. It's like, I don't know what the hell they're doing with James Bond. Like, they can do. It's just a spy stuff. It's relatively simple. I don't know. Like, you can just do a lot of cool stuff with that. It just depends. You just need a good writer and director who has a good vision, I guess, what they want to do with the character.
But how hard is it? You just throw more money at the guy and he'll do it. That's basically how it works. You know what's actually even better, right? Like, Henry Cavill is going to be in the Mission Impossible movie as a British spy.
Mm-hmm.
So like, he's just playing all these spy roles to eventually maybe get casted as James Bond. Like, that's what it kind of is.
They look at your resume. It's like, have you had any experience? And he's like, well,
twice.
It's like, you might as well just give me the title.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I can believe it. You know, just looking at his IMDb, apparently, he's going to be appearing in the Shazam movie. Henry Cavill, I didn't know that. It's news to me. There's all those leaks of images from Shazam set.
And I'm like, yeah, that outfit, it looks exactly like a comic book. It's like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
simple. It doesn't have the because I think there's a lot of complaints with modern superhero stuff, especially when it was like the Amazing Spider-Man or it's Superman suit where you kind of see the mesh of it because you have good cameras and it's very high def, and you kind of like, I need to have more detail in my outfits, and I feel like Shazam feels very much like that outfit's like simple, like that is like literally a 2D comic book stuff come to life, I guess.
Well, I think that I remember people were complaining about when they saw it, and I think, like, it's very much like the Shazam suit, but I think it's gonna be obviously CGI'd a little, so obviously, like, calm down. I think that's like the same thing with what is it, Captain Marvel suit. I think that looks pretty bad, but I think part of the reason why it looks like that is because they're probably going to be adding in a lot of effects post. Also, it's green, kind of like the tealy green, so maybe like they can maybe fix that up in green screen. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. That makes more sense because, like, yeah,
Right?
because they would
I don't know. It
because
doesn't need to be green.
obviously the way green screen works is like you pick a color that's not going to be used, so then you can digitally edit it. So you're like, okay, that color's never going to be seen ever on camera ever. So then you can be like, whatever that color is, we can attribute that color to whatever thing we want to it. So that's probably why it looks pretty bad. But once again, they'll always behind the scene photos always look bad unless like you officially
In
get
context,
that until you get that official photos. Which, by the way, I remember the first poster that came out for Black Panther, and it was a freaking joke. Do you remember that poster? It was like very badly photoshopped the guy's head on like a CGI Black Panther suit. It was so bad. I remember that. I remember that so vividly. I'm like, type in like probably first Black Panther like poster.
Okay. Yeah, and it's really bad. Like, well, the thing is, like, I don't think it was really that hype for Black Panther. And I mean, I guess if you like listen to our review, like, you might think I didn't like it, but again, like, I liked the movie overall. But I think it also is partly because, like, I didn't have a lot of hype for this movie, which I think like maybe in a Marvel hype is a thing. I reckon.
Yeah, I feel like once again, I feel Infinity War is hyped up a little bit too much. I'm like, calm down. It's not going to be the
Yeah,
movie that you think it's going to be.
yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm kind of expecting, again, this is what I've told everyone else of my opinion of the new Avengers film that's coming out. It'll literally be, it's the same plot as Justice League, it's just cooked better, right? Because it had several movies to build everything up, but I think it's literally the same plot. Like, you're having a dude come and invade Earth, and you're having a bunch of heroes unite to stop him from invading the Earth and doing things. But it's just going to be a better quality one. Okay, is it this one where he's sitting on a chair?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that does look pretty bad.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I do remember when that came out. Everyone's like, "What the hell is this?" Is like some person's first day of Photoshop. But yeah.
Well, yeah, and you know what? We don't even get to see this. This isn't even in the movie. Never in Black Panther suit.
Oh god, I hate when people do that. They're just like, "We'll show you," but it's in the trailer, but not in the movie. I can once again, I can understand it if it's a comedy movie because like they try to keep some lines that are secret and like kind of keep it like fresh and everything. And they've most comedy films that have like so many takes, but like some other stuff, I'm like, but why? Like, why'd you cut it? Like, really?
Yeah, no, exactly.
But yeah, that's pretty much all we need to talk about this week, right? We haven't done much else.
No, not really. I think I was even struggling to get through all of Jessica Jones because again, it did kind of feel like it dragged on a little bit. But yeah, we got there in the end, I guess. But yeah, like I'm not too sure. Is there any good shows kind of coming out next week or anything like that that we can give ourselves homework for?
Nah, not so much. I think we're in a little bit of a kind of like it's slowing down a slight bit, and then everything else comes out like one after another. Like obviously the weekly stuff, is coming out, but like the next I think big drop is like that Lost in Space Netflix TV show and like some other stuff. Like, but I don't remember. Like next month is going to be an interesting month because that's when Westworld comes back. So that's
is it next month?
I think it's next month. So
don't get my feelings.
Okay, let's type this out. Yeah, Westworld.
I'm gonna feel like that's because I just caught up, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's fresh in your mind. I remember it was good. But yeah, it comes out 22nd of April next month.
Ah, okay, cool. That's definitely something we'll have to
and
get on.
And it's 14 episodes instead of like really short episodes. So it's got a lot of episodes.
Okay, well, yeah, that definitely will be something we'll get onto.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This might be because that's the thing. This is HBO. They don't have Game of Thrones this year, so I guess Westworld will be the show.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess till then. I guess
till then.
No, we'll see you guys. We'll definitely see you guys next week. And I guess I need to catch up with all my. I need to watch that Flash episode you talked about as well. So
yeah, it should be the next one.
We'll do a I guess a DC summary or something next week. We'll see.
Well, yeah, because I was looking up the IMDb. Like for some reason, all the DC shows are probably pretty much like they're taking like a week or two off this week to next week for some reason. So you've got time to catch up on stuff if you need to catch up on.
Yeah. I'm not too far. I'll get there.
All right. Well, anyways, that was our episode. Once again, you can always find us in the proper podcast channels. And until next time, we'll talk to you guys later. So see ya.
Catch ya.